Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we're going to do a quick update on the High Republic Twitter debacle that we talked about yesterday with Krystina Arielle and the backlash she has faced over some of her tweets from last year that were very unkind to white people.
Right.
Let's put it mildly, right? There has been a lot of discussion now, of course, with Star Wars official Twitter account coming out and defending her and saying that they stand against racism. And we're thinking this looked kind of like the Kelly Marie Tran situation.
Right, we're calling it the Tran maneuver. But they would stand against racism when it's her, but they wouldn't stand against racism when it was James Earl Jones or John Boyega. And they didn't mention, you said the other
Carl
day,
Weathers.
They didn't mention his birthday. Did they? I don't
They
think
did not.
did.
I don't think they did.
I know Gina Carano mentioned it, but I don't think the Star Wars mentioned it.
Yeah, which is very odd considering that Carl Weathers is a beloved actor. He was in the Rocky movies. He was Apollo. He has a huge following on his own before he came in The Mandalorian. You'd think they would bring that up, but they didn't.
But they didn't. It's just interesting how they like to pick and choose what they'll shine a light on and what they won't.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about how this is not going to go the way they think.
It's not going the way they think.
It's not, because again, we talked about the Tran maneuver where the defense for every criticism of The Last Jedi was Kelly Marie Tran was harassed, regardless of what your complaint was.
I didn't like the color of the wall. That's because you didn't like Kelly Marie Tran and chased her off of Twitter. There's a lot of twa. So I had to...
Yeah, so that's not working this time with Krystina Arielle. We're going to talk about how some mainstream media outlets are even like, yeah, this is kind of hypocritical, guys.
It is.
This isn't just the fringe. This isn't like, just a bunch of YouTubers or Twitter. This is Insider actually put this article up, which also is recirculated on MSNBC's website. So they're even like, this is hypocritical of you to defend Krystina, but you didn't defend John Boyega.
Which is funny because everybody's been calling them out about this for years.
Yes.
About the hypocrisy and double standards. And now, when this went down just recently with these tweets, people immediately were like, well, we saw it with the James Earl Jones thing and the racism things, the comments on Martin Luther King Jr. Day. People called them out then. Then this came up. People are calling them out again because they're like, well, why didn't you stand up for John Boyega or Kelly Marie Tran or any of those other people? Where were you then? And it's because it's very one-sided over here.
Yeah, it wasn't one of their friends is probably what's going on. And
no, it wasn't. They were, though, but it wasn't the direction that certain people wanted it to go.
Right. So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about the numbers here, and numbers don't lie. So we're going to talk about the numbers when it comes to the High Republic and interest in the High Republic compared to The Mandalorian, compared to even Gina Carano herself. And
she's kicking everybody else. I mean,
Yeah.
She's kicking the High Republic's ass.
Yeah, Gina Carano's got significantly more search coming up than the High Republic. So
wow, that's pretty bad.
It is bad. We're going to talk about that. Before we get into it, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We're over 172,000 subs. Thank you for the support. Yeah, I was really surprised. I mean, we did a video yesterday talking about this situation. And actually, ironically, we did a video based off of an article we published on Pirates and Princesses, which was one of the top coverage.
And something I've noticed too, not in every article, but in a lot of these articles, people aren't putting the actual tweets up.
Yes.
Or they're just picking a couple that aren't that bad and they're putting them up. Now, again, like I said, or you said, hey, you could have been frustrated. It might have been bad choices. There could have been reasons for saying it, but they were just really shitty things to say.
Yeah, so we've noticed this too. There are a lot of articles out there defending her because if you don't really look into it, you're like, oh my God, all these, white man babies are dogpiling on this poor woman. Of course, and if that's what just had happened, it'd be like, what the hell are you doing? But they're neglecting to put her original tweets into the articles.
Now, of course, she's getting a bunch. They're giving her ammunition. Everybody's like, oh,
don't do that. Don't do
that. That's to make you as bad as she is. I mean, what she said or did was not okay. She maybe should apologize for that, but that's another story entirely. But the fact that you guys are just doing it in kind back, that doesn't make it okay either. I mean, some of the stuff I'm seeing people post, it's like, no. Just stop.
Yeah, it's funny though. There are a lot of black folks are furious about this. There's a YouTube channel out there. I think it's called Black Jedi. It's like, what the hell are you doing?
Well, just some guy was on Twitter and some white chick was like going at him about him and the comments, and he's like, I'm black. And then she's like, well, she didn't say. She was talking about racism and white supremacists. And I was like, yes, because I got that where she actually said white supremacists instead of just white people. Oh, wait.
Yeah.
She didn't specify.
It kind of reminds me of Harry Potter with Ron Weasley's mom, where she's like screaming at him. It's like, but not you, Harry. But then she starts screaming at Ron again. It's like everybody, but you, except for the nice whites. But all you other whites, you're terrible.
I just like when people were saying this. They were like, she was speaking out against racism and against. I'm like, that's not what this was. If you read the tweets, that's not what this was. But the white supremacy thing, I'm like, okay, I get that if that's what she said, but that's not what she said. So anyway, I'm not going to make it about that anymore.
Yeah, we did an hour-long video trying to be as even keel as we could on it, and you can go back, you can watch that. We put up yesterday morning. But I went out to see what other articles there were on this, and I was surprised. I mean, obviously we had the other news outlets that were like, just like, oh, Star Wars is stand up against racism, and like you said, a lot of them were not putting her, embedding her original, or they would cherry pick the tweets. They put the least offensive ones in there, not the ones where she's telling white people. Or they wouldn't mention
it at all. Like, her whole point of her tweets was against this stuff, and everybody took it the wrong way. And it's like, but they didn't put the tweets up. So people reading these articles, if they even cared, which we're finding out, they don't give a shit.
We're gonna,
because like we said, Twitter is not the real world. And as we keep telling people over and over and over again, just because they're pissed on Twitter, we've seen it with Star Wars how many times? Twitter gets mad and they're like, oh, The Last Jedi is the bestest ever. And then The Rise of Skywalker fails because Twitter does not represent the majority of people around the world. It just represents the extremists on Twitter.
So before we get into talking about, what some of these other news outlets are saying, I do want to point this out.
Okay, please explain this to everybody.
I was shocked. Okay, this is Google Trends.
I was surprised too.
Yeah, for all the talk about the High Republic being this big initiative, this huge deal, this massive publishing effort on the part of Lucasfilm, that this is going to be the future of Star Wars, it's not trending very high.
It's pretty bad, actually.
Yeah. This is the interest. Now, Google Trends, for those of you who are not familiar with how it works, they basically chart the number of times that a particular term is searched, and they get a pretty good idea of what people are looking for on that particular day, month, week, etc. The High Republic is the blue line. It's barely a blip. Gina Carano herself is the red line. You can see how it changes. When The Mandalorian, the new episodes are out, you can see that, it peaks or whatever, but it's still consistently above the High Republic.
Way above the High Republic.
In The Mandalorian, there's no comparison. I mean, it's like
Mandalorian, High Republic. Let's just take Gina Carano out of it. Mandalorian, High Republic. That's what because I mean,
we can do that.
This is what at the end of the day they're trying to argue. Okay? And the very fact that they took a post about how people shouldn't be racist against Krystina Arielle became fire Gina Carano. I have no idea. But Mandalorian and there's a High Republic. There is the difference in interest. That is with Twitter taken out of it. Just Google, but pure Google.
Yeah, and
there's the interest.
You look at these little microscopic bumps. This is when it was announced last year, but that's even larger than when the first book started dropping, and people are not interested. I mean, the High Republic is significantly lower than The Mandalorian. Even now, after the season's over, it's still trending higher. Right.
Now, I mean, it's possible that the High Republic could go above it because they're just ramping up, but I don't think it's going to.
No,
because people aren't interested in this, which is what we keep telling you. And because it's not been doing what people keep saying it's doing, they're desperately trying to drum up whatever kind of attention they can get. So this whole thing happened with the tweets, and it was, okay, they can't control if somebody else put a post about it. Right. I can't say that we're behind that. But the reaction to it was a definite Tran maneuver attempt to drum up interest in this because it is not performing well, contrary to what all the people want to tell you. It's really not.
Yeah. So what's interesting about this article, though, I don't think they put her tweets up there either. They're not. People are leaving out in a lot of posts. They're leaving out what kicked this whole thing off, which was unearthed tweets from during the beginning of Black Lives Matter, where she was just venting on Twitter.
Yeah, and you have to understand that. I mean, I'm not giving it a pass, but under the circumstances, I can see why people were on Twitter. When people get pissed about something, we see it with politics, with Biden and Trump. We saw people saying things that probably were sometimes shitty things because they were upset.
Right.
You know, I'm not saying that that's the case here. I'm just saying that could be the case.
But the thing is that, you know, even though they're not putting her tweets in here, they're not leading with, you know, High Republic host being harassed, just harassed on Twitter. They're
not mentioning High Republic, just Star Wars.
Yeah, they're like, oh, she's being harassed, but fans are calling it hypocritical. Right.
Because to the general public, unless you're on Twitter, they're all looking at the whole long-term issue here with Lucasfilm and Star Wars and the racism shit.
Here we have a blue check. Julia Alexander. Great to see Lucasfilm and Disney realizing they should stand up for members of their community who faced unspeakable, hateful harassment. It's still infuriating they did not do this for John Boyega, Kelly Marie Tran, or Daisy Ridley.
Or Gina Carano. Because whether or not you like her politics, people are harassing the hell out of her. And, you know, they aren't standing up for her either. They're basically standing up for none of these people. But because these people were from, you know, they're past. They're except for Gina Carano. They're done. The sequel trilogy's over. Now we're trying to get control back with the High Republic. So that's why they're standing up for those people. And they're not standing up for Gina Carano either.
Your last month's flavor. I mean, that's the truth. And that's what is unfortunate. I mean, that's just the way Hollywood works in general. I don't think it's necessary.
I'm every month's flavor.
You are. You're always the flavor of the month.
That's right.
You're
I'm always
a specialty on the menu.
That's right. I'm the spicy one.
But, you know, this is the unfortunate truth of Hollywood is you're useful if they can use you to boost or promote the product. Right. And once that product is in the rearview mirror, you're no longer useful. You know.
Plus, if she's in like Flynn with the rest of the High Republic group and the Lucasfilm story group, they're all like, "Oh, hurry up, defend our friend!" But they weren't defending. Were they defending Pablo Hidalgo? I mean, I know they apologized to that YouTuber.
Some people were,
but I mean, was this a Star Wars account?
I don't think so. I think they were embarrassed.
So they just said nothing about that. But then this happened, and then they hurried up and like, oh, we have to.
Well, okay, so there's a theory I'm hearing back channel on this that it could have been that these were the weekend warriors, that these were the Lucasfilm interns that were, you know, running the store because this happened on a Friday.
I understand that, but under the circumstances, given how big they claim it is, you would think that they'd call people in and be like, okay, we need somebody in there to handle this.
Kathleen Kennedy, get your ass on down and
I mean, people that are paid to handle this. You'd think that they would be, that's the case, that they would have stepped in and to do something, but they did nothing, which maybe their answer is, oh shit, if we do anything now, we look bad either way, so let's do nothing.
Some of these outlets, I've read some articles, and they have actually reached out to Disney, and they've gotten no answer. Again,
are we surprised?
It's a weekend, and they're probably, I can tell you the truth.
They had to have a meeting on Monday.
Yes.
Is that what you're going to say?
Yes.
Yeah, they have their Monday meeting.
They'll have a Monday meeting. I would pay to be a fly on the wall at Lucasfilm Monday morning, because it's going to be like,
they do their meetings on Mondays.
The hell is going on? I can imagine Bob Chapek or Bob Iger or somebody.
Oh, I'm sure they're aware at this point.
On speakerphone being like, what the fuck is going on over there?
But, so they have Monday meetings. So yeah, if there is a response to any of this, it probably won't be till like Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah. Yeah, and it'll be very corporate-y. It'll be very, we denounce racism. We're striving to do better. Now people are pushing them, and they think that this might be the end game. They're pushing them to denounce a certain segment of Star Wars fans. Mm-hmm. That would be a colossal mistake.
It would be, because they're the ones that were right in the end of it. Like, I mean, the ones, and they don't all identify as okay, you're talking Fandom Menace. I'm just going to say it.
Yeah.
And not everybody identifies as Fandom Menace.
No.
For us, for example, we are not Fandom Menace.
No.
We might have similar ideas, Fandom Menace. We just aren't Fandom Menace. But, I think they're just the most vocal representatives of the people that are very upset on the direction it's taken. And I think it's not the vocal minority they tried to say the Fandom Menace was. I think it's just they're finding out that Twitter isn't the real world, and the real world didn't like it either.
Yeah. I mean, you look at how universally loved, the return of Luke Skywalker. I heard it had like crashed Disney Plus's servers.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Where's your chart here?
Yeah.
This year would probably be around the time that we had Luke Skywalker
Yes.
show up.
Yep.
Yes. In that would be probably what that's about.
Yeah. And, for a couple of weeks, Star Wars was golden. Like, people were thrilled. They were thrilled about Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. They were thrilled about Luke Skywalker. All seemed right with the world, and then this bullshit happened.
Add Luke Skywalker to it and see what happens.
Oh, well, let's add Luke Skywalker.
Just out of curiosity.
Okay. He is the yellow. So, yeah. He peaked about the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm just, I think it's about people. Mandalorian feels like Star Wars to a lot of people. The way Favreau and Filoni are taking Star Wars feels more authentic to a lot of people. And if the rumors are true, there is a battle going on between Favreau and Filoni and that faction, which, do you notice how they aren't embroiled in any of this shit at any given time? And then there's a story group and Kathleen Kennedy who are constantly at the heart. Like, we had the Leslie Headland thing where they went behind the back and announced it. And then we had, the story group with their whiteboard of diversity over everything. And we have, the Pablo Hidalgo, which is a story group. And we have, the High Republic is the story group and that faction. And they have these tweets and all this stuff come out. It just seems that one side is, just trying to do good stuff and doesn't care about, causing a shitstorm. And the other side just constantly causing a shitstorm.
Yeah, and this is indicative of everything going on in Hollywood right now. I mean, this is the problem. They get people that spend more time on freaking Twitter. Same with publishing, same with comics. They spend more time on Twitter causing Twitter drama than they do actually focusing on the product and making the best product they can.
And meanwhile, which product's the one that people want to see and is performing well?
Yeah.
Because you need to show and not tell. And that's all they want to do is tell. And the other thing people keep going on about well, the New York Times bestseller list that we talked about being cheated, it is easily cheated, guys. I'm sorry, but we've talked about it before any of this even happened. We've come from publishing. We know what we're talking about. And now you said someone told you that it dropped down.
Yeah, I'm gonna look into that a little bit more, but apparently it dropped off the top of the list already. So it was, but that happens a lot with books. Like, a lot of times, there's a release that comes out, gets a big boost on the
people
first
who
week
want it, go get it, and people who don't, just don't.
Yeah, or the word of mouth gets out there. Sometimes there are books that they sit out there for weeks or months, and they're kind of a slow burn, and then they wind up hitting the top of the New York Times bestseller list.
Because everybody says, "Oh, this is really good. You should read it."
Yeah, go check it out. But this is interesting because, they talk about the harassment. No, they don't show a lot of her tweets. I don't think they show any of her tweets. But then the point they were trying to get to is, what about John Boyega? They're talking about how John Boyega blasted them, they sidelined him.
Do you notice how they always just throw words out there, but they never follow it with actions?
Yeah.
They always just say, we don't stand for this, but they don't do anything to prove otherwise. I know WW Pro put up an article on piratesandprincesses.net talking about, well, here are some possible, things that Lucasfilm could do to try to correct the racism that they've been accused of. But they never want to do that. They just pretend like, it doesn't matter anymore until they think they can use the term for something to benefit themselves. Mm-hmm. And it's like, but they have no interest. They have demonstrated no interest in trying to fix the situation.
It's just about PR. It's all about PR. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I love this. They're like, hey, calling us out. We've been calling this out. We support Krystina Arielle. Our Star Wars community is one of hope and inclusivity. This from the company that erased a half-second LGBT plus kiss, erased Rose from the third movie, and completely destroyed Finn, all because he was black. Disney is the most hypocritical company. Star Wars really said their community is one of hope and inclusivity. I think the experiences of John Boyega, Naomi Ackie, Kelly Marie Tran, and Oscar Isaac say otherwise. Wow.
Yeah, Poe got screwed too.
He did. He was.
I liked him.
They basically
Him
had.
and Finn were my favorites. But I know that can't be because I'm a woman. I only can relate to women. So Rey and Rose had to be my favorite.
She had the least personality of any character in the.
But Poe and Finn were my favorite characters, hands down. They were my favorites.
It's pointless. Prove that this isn't a performance and call out all the things that make the fandom toxic. Condemning one instance is a good place to start.
Because these are the people that are like, you have to be careful because you have these other people that are the opposite. So there's for all the yelling about the fandom menace, you have all the other people on the other side that are not everything done in the Disney sequel ever was the bestest ever because it represents us and you know you can't say anything bad about it. Where most people are in the middle and they're just like, I just want a good story that feels like Star Wars, you know?
So now you got people pissed off again. We talked about this yesterday, using it as an opportunity to throw shade at Gina Carano. Why is she still
All
the job?
Gina Carano did, from my understanding, from what I've seen, was she didn't put her pronouns up on her bio, which, by the way, I want to point out that Krystina Arielle does not have her pronouns on her bio.
She does not have her pronouns in her bio.
And apparently she supported conservative viewpoints. That's it.
Yes. As far as I can tell, that's...
I mean, I do think that there's some baiting there sometimes, but I think that nothing there was enough. And she's been getting abused all this time, and Disney and Star Wars, Lucasfilm hasn't done anything about that. But, you know.
No, because she's not the right kind of person. And she's also in the Favreau.
So we don't actually believe in you know, protecting our people. We just believe in using people as a shield when it's convenient for our agendas.
Yeah, I just think this is hilarious. Like, these are look, they've been courting Twitter. The story group, that faction at Lucasfilm, has been courting Twitter, and Twitter is turning on them.
Well, it's funny
calling
because
them hypocrites.
Don't you know that, you know, you have the right in this country to pick whichever political side you want. It's kind of like, you know, something that we have, you have choice in this country, and you can vote for it. Now, to be honest, I don't think it really matters. I think whoever's going to win is going to win. It doesn't really matter half the time. But you have the option of choice, or at least perceived choice. And there's people who don't agree with me all the time, but I don't go out of my way to like you should be fired because you voted different than me, or you think different than me, or you know.
Yeah.
Like, who was that was a dumbass? Was it that was Alyssa Milano or somebody that was putting crocheted masks up? They're talking about how they were wearing crocheted masks.
It's like, what?
I think you're a dumbass, but I don't think you should be fired. You know, and I wasn't campaigning to get her fired because I thought she was, you know, she was making these comments. She makes all the comments all the time that are so far out there that I think are ridiculous. But I don't go around saying we need to fire her and harassing her. You know, because that makes you just as bad as the people you're yelling about. You're just as shitty as the people you're screaming about. You're exactly the same. You just want to vote one color, one side, and they want to vote another color, the other side. That's the only difference.
Now, Fox News actually, of course, you know, they posted something about it, but they actually were pretty fair for Fox News, I guess. They talked about Disney defending the host of Star Wars web series amid backlash to tweets some deemed to be racist toward white people, and they talked about, you know, she'd been showing screenshots of some of the backlash she got.
I don't agree with.
I don't agree with that. I don't think, you know, people talk about fire with fire. I think it just makes a bigger dumpster fire.
Yeah, it's just like there was nothing. That wasn't necessary.
But, you know, they did post some of her tweets and post the spiciest ones.
No.
They didn't. But, you know, it is making the rounds. And there are a lot of black people that are even like, what the hell are you doing, you know? But that's Fox News. Then we get articles like this over at Bleeding Cool. Star Wars, Krystina, Arielle, and why white wine really doesn't age well.
Are you serious?
Written by, I believe a white guy. Yes, a white guy with a beard and hipster glasses. Exactly what I thought.
When you become a caricature, then, you know.
You draw me a hipster, and it looks just like that.
Yeah.
Always.
So even though I'm not going to say, I'm not one of those people that like someone should be disregarded for their opinion based on their looks. I always hate that. Well, you said something I don't like, but you're fat and ugly, so I don't have to listen to you. I always think that's the stupidest thing ever. Your appearance should have absolutely no bearing on your opinion. However, he does look like a caricature of a hipster.
Yeah. Well, I collect vinyl, so I can't say anything.
But you look nothing like that.
I don't look anything like that. No. So anyway, we're gonna wrap this one up.
Yeah, just, you know, back to the main point, which was for all the screaming on Twitter and for all these places picking up this story, it is not benefiting them in any way, really.
No.
It's just Mandalorian is still outpacing them significantly. Gina Carano is still outpacing them significantly, and no one really gives a shit about the High Republic yet.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that knowing them and how hard they're trying to push this, they're going to do everything they can to at least create the appearance of interest.
Yeah.
I think there's too much riding on it for like KK and her crew.
We'll see where we're at 6 months from now. We'll see if this Twitter drama turns into sales or tank sales because people, you know, get fed up and quit.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, like, they were the behavior from Star Wars, they were getting interest back in it. And when they saw that, and then not just that, the comments where they stepped over James Earl Jones, which they easily could have rectified and never did.
Yeah.
Or they, put the thing about anti-racism when all the fans have been like, well, what about Finn for
right.
months, years?
Yes.
I think people are just like, the goodwill that you were winning back, you kind of are losing. Disney needs to step in there because might have gone 5 steps forward, and now you're already like 6 steps back, and it's going to keep moving backwards unless you do something to stop the bad behavior.
We had 2 or 3 good weeks where a lot of disenfranchised Star Wars fans had sort of come together.
And the Star Wars news was positive.
And the Star Wars news was positive because of Luke Skywalker, for the most part. I mean, you had people that hated it, whatever. But everybody was kind of getting together for a couple of weeks. Of course, that couldn't last.
Yeah, and no matter whether it's with this Krystina Arielle's comments or if it's a James Earl Jones and the Martin Luther King Jr. Day stuff, racism has become synonymous with the Star Wars name just in the last few days.
Yeah.
And I can't think Disney likes that.
No, even if they go along with it.
But one team stays away from controversy, I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Nobody knows what Jon Favreau's up to.
No, because he's not out there doing this shit.
Right. So we're going to wrap this one up.
Yeah.
Okay, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We'll talk to you later.
Bye.